Welcome to the first episode of On the Go with AC. I'm Anthony Carter. Thank you so much for supporting this show and my company, X1 Media. Certainly have seen a lot of feedback based on my first independent series, Finding Davohnte, which I will get into in just a bit. That's what this episode is based off of, at least for the first one, kind of a transition from that series. But I got a lot of feedback, a lot of comments, a lot of new supporters, especially on different social media platforms. So I do want to thank you. And in case you haven't already, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. You can search the One Media X, the X1 Media, and also like and subscribe through YouTube and visit our website. That's the x1media.com. The reason why I started X1 Media, my tagline is community comes first. And I really think that in this new space of media and journalism, I really feel as though uh, journalism, as we all know it, whether that's through broadcast or through print or online, is quickly changing and alarmingly changing, especially with AI. I plan on discussing that at another time because I definitely want to have dive more into why it's changing, why we need to save it. So, but this is why I started X1 Media because I really feel like there's always a story out there to tell, whether it's your neighbor or what's happening within your community, your state, city, wherever you live. There's always a story to tell, and I feel like there's a lot of stories that don't get told enough, or at least to the level that I feel like it should be. So that's the reason why I started X1 Media, and I got a lot of big things planned on that. As far as my X1 Academy that I hope to get started soon. I really want to use X1 Academy to inspire next generation of journalists or anyone that wants to enter any type of media field or online field, whether it's graphic design, journalism, radio, whatever it may be, any type of media. Really want to get that started. So again, thank you all for supporting that. And that's the purpose of On the Go with the AC show, kind of branching off of that community comes first. On this show, we're going to break down topics that's impacting our community, give my insight, also having some guests on with expertise about certain situations and kind of give you something to, the purpose is to be on the go, something to think about, leaving you with a thought, leaving you with some inspiration or an idea to do good in your community and to lead around you. And so that's my purpose for this show. And I hope that I have your support. And also, feel free to reach out if you have any type of suggestions or any stories you think I should cover or any type of topics you want to talk about. This is an open door. Um, Certainly a community. That's why community comes first. So that's why I want this to be everyone involved, everyone giving your insight, whether you agree, whether you disagree. I think nowadays we don't have conversations anymore. I think nowadays stuff gets thrown out. People believe more lies than hearing the facts. And there's just a lot of misinformation. Again, AI is on the rise too. So we're really I feel like media is really threatened right now. So I want this to be a community space to just share your discussions, what your opinions are, and not feeling judged about what your opinions are. So reach out to me. There's my social media platform, acarter_TV on all social media platforms. Also, feel free to email me, acarter at the x1media.com. I'll have this up throughout this show. Also, before we get into Finding Devontae, especially within the winter season, first things first, hope you all are having a great holiday season. Hope you all got a chance to spend some time with some family. I know for sure over the Christmas holiday, I stuffed my face with food and drinks and everything. So I'm on moving into my New Year's resolution. I'm definitely gotten a lot of my workouts in the last couple of days because, boy, that was a long weekend. So hopefully you all had a chance to spend time with some family or friends or get some time to reflect as we move into 2024. Also, take care of your health. People are getting sick left and right. COVID is still here, the flu, any type of just common cold, all of that. So really be sure to take care of yourself and your family and everyone around you because it is still scary times. I know we've kind of relaxed on COVID, but we got to remind ourselves that this is still a dangerous situation. So really take care of your health. So this first episode, intro to Finding Davohnte series. Again, thank you for everyone for checking that out through X1 Media, seeing a lot of new page views and comments and YouTube views. So it's really getting some feedback. And if you haven't already, be sure to stream all episodes on X1 Media. You can just visit our website, www.thex1media.com. You can also stream it on all podcast platforms. Just use search Uncovering the Mysterious or X1 Media, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So, speaking on this series, first things first, I do want to thank the Mount Shasta Police Department for agreeing to do the interview. And when we were scheduling that interview, Sergeant Devin Pretty, he was on. He was the only, I believe, he was the main officer on call. So they told me that it was like, just so you know, in case there's something crazy going on, he may have to jump out of this Zoom. So we were able to squeeze this interview in. So I appreciate that. I know that they're on a tight schedule. So I do appreciate them for one, agreeing to do the interview and giving me the time to discuss this, because this is a story that I think needs to be discussed more. And then also thanking them for being very transparent. I think, I've seen comments about what he said, what they believe, and I understand that. But I think it is important to note that I do appreciate him at least being transparent about what's going on with the case, because a lot of times when we do these stories on missing people, we don't really get much. As speaking as a reporter from my reporter days, we don't really get that much context from police, especially when something's like this, that sensitive, and it's still under investigation. Most police will say it's under investigation or pending litigation. We can't comment on anything, or we don't know too much details, or not even hint that they have a person of interest. But for Sergeant Pretty to say, I do believe she, as in Devontae's girlfriend, knows something, stuff like that is like, wow. Even I was shocked when he said that, because I was like, wow, he said that multiple times too on the record, and he knows he did. And I do believe that in other interviews, I know he did the documentary with ID. I think he said that. I can't remember from that documentary, but I do appreciate them being transparent about the situation. Also providing me their surveillance videos about that, because I think all of that was important in telling the story. And this is a serious story. Um, and with that, I do want to thank Devontae's family. I've this is, I'm sure this is not easy for them, and I can just tell talking to them and hearing the emotion in Devontae's mom Terry's voice, and his sister's voice, and just his family. It's never easy. You're talking 3 years he's been missing, no answers, hearing things left and right, not hearing, according to them, not hearing anything from Mount Shasta police. So it's just really just a lot going on for them. So I do appreciate them being open to doing the interview, speaking out, and hoping and trusting me to tell the story to get something done. So, kind of quick backstory for people that may not know. I used to be a reporter in Southern Oregon for Channel 5 KLBI. Salute to my KLBI family. Really miss and appreciate to all my Southern Oregon viewers. Definitely miss you guys out there. I had a great time covering stories, and a lot of some fun, some difficult, but I truly love what I did, and just seeing the feedback and the community, everyone making me feel welcome in that community. So I do want to thank that. It's been 6 months since I left there, so I haven't been open about saying that. So I do want to shout KLBI out. But when I was doing this story, I first learned about it. So before KLBI, I worked at its competitor station as a producer. So reported missing. So this was in May. This was being reported. So 2020, a lot was going on in 2020. You're talking the pandemic. That was right at the start of the pandemic. We're producing from home. There was also uh, civil unrest in our nation with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and I think that that time the Ahmaud Arbery video came out too as well. So the 2020 there was in a protest that followed that, of course. So 2020 there was a lot to cover news wise. So this story to me, I think didn't get as much recognition as, plus there wasn't much information that we really known of. So as a producer, I just treated it as a regular missing persons case. So and so, he's this tall, weighs this is what he was last wearing. If you have any information, contact police. That's all we really put out there. So after I left that station and then joined Channel 5, we were coming up on 1 year since Devontae was reported missing. And I remember still reading about this story, and I thought it was unusual that he was still missing because usually, Southern Oregon, this is often that people are reported missing, but usually there's always a quick resolution, whether it's a good one or whether it's a bad one, that they have been found, whether it's alive or tragically whether they've did it. And I've covered on both sides of those. So, but the fact we didn't hear anything and all we were really getting was still missing, contact police if you know anything. So we never knew if it was suspicious, if it was anything like that. So as we were coming up on 1 year since he was reported missing, I remember seeing things about it and seeing people post about it and tagging Mount Police, specifically talking about his family. I reached out to Davonte's cousin, saying that, hey, because I saw that she had posted about Davonte. So I said, hey, do you think his family would be open to doing an interview? And that's why I appreciate Channel 5 the way that I do, because they were open about me covering, stories like this. They are really key on community news. That's why I think they really are just the best news station in Southern Oregon to me, because they really put local news first. So, my news director, Craig Smullen, he told me, he said, hey, go ahead, and he gave me the green light to do this story. And I appreciate him doing that, because now I think it allowed me to look into the story further. So I reached out, connected me with his mother, and I'm talking with his mother, and just hearing, it was a long interview. It's about 20, I think it was a 20-minute interview. But because I'm doing this for a news broadcast, I could only use so much of that. It was like ended up being 2-minute story piece. And if you actually want to watch that out, just search KLBI Davonte Morgan, and it's like mother of Davonte Morgan speaks out and stuff like that, or opens up. And that's my story. You'll see that when I first did the story. So when I'm covering the story, I'm talking with Davonte's mother. A lot of things popped up when I first talked to Terry. Um, the first thing was I can tell that something was up. That this isn't like just any your typical normal missing persons case. Something happened to Davonte, and I can just hear that. And even she said it in the story. If you go watch it, she said that young woman knows what happened to him. He's a child of God. He will not just leave us like this. That's what she said on the story, and I included that in the article and in the video. So listening to her say that, so that popped up, but also popped up. I viewed myself, and I viewed Terry as my mother in that situation, because I think a lot of times as journalists, um, oftentimes I think we skip over the human part of when we're telling stories, and and it's nothing to throw shade on. It just happens that sometimes we're not really thinking about it. We're just thinking about how we're going to tell this story. So when I'm talking to Terry, I'm just thinking, I'm like, this could be me. You're talking a black man in a predominantly white region, really, talking Southern Oregon, Northern California, it's right there. So, and also Mount Shasta, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this earlier. Mount Shasta, it's in Northern California. So it was in our coverage area in Southern Oregon. So that's why we covered the story that we did. So, I'm talking to her, and then I revisited the story because I tried to do more follow up to the story. I even contacted Mount Shasta police, but we never really could connect on an interview stuff. News cycle, everything's constantly moving, fire season, politics. So there's a lot that happens. So we never really connected on an interview. They agreed to do it, but we can never just get the scheduling down for that. So. But yeah, just talking with Terry, and why I covered this story, because I just felt like we go in depth on all of these other stories, and just calling it what it is, missing white men and women. We go deep on covering the story. We talk to the family. How come no one's talked to Terry yet? How come we haven't spoken to Terry? So that's why I reached out. and did the story. And recently, I messaged Terry because I had thought about this um, before I mentioned this. I said, this was last week. I texted Terry. I said, "Did you ever interview with any of the stations in Oregon other than with me at KOBI?" And she said, "Good morning. No, I haven't." We did one with Mount Shasta newspaper, which you can look that up to the Mount Shasta News. They also did a story. But as far as I know, I think Channel 5, Mount Shasta News, that's it. I think those were the only only stations that really covered the story and spoke to his mother. And when she said that, it reminded me from years ago when I first talked to her. She said she messaged the other station that one of the stations, Southern Oregon, without naming them, but people who work with me in Southern Oregon, I'm sure you can imagine who I'm talking about. She said they didn't even want to talk to her. They didn't even, they tried to set up interviews and set up protests and things like that to get some type of coverage, and they didn't even look her way. And that bothered me a lot. That bothered me a lot because you're being biased and I'm talking to this station. Obviously, you're being biased in reporting. Why aren't you giving her airtime like you are if this was any other missing persons case? So that's what I took from that. And it's really an unfortunate situation because I've been in Mount Shasta before, and I always knew. And this is the other reason why I knew something was up. I've been in Mount Shasta before, and it was for whether it was a wildfire or whether it was for local politics. Only been there a few times, and let me tell you, I went out there. I got my video, got back in the car, and headed right back up to Southern Oregon. I did not stay out there long because I did not feel comfortable in Mount Shasta. And this isn't a hit towards Mount Shasta. I know that there's some great people out there. I have some fans that follow me on my personal account for Mount Shasta that are supporters. So this isn't a whole knock on Mount Shasta. But let's just be real. There's Southern Oregon, Northern California are very conservative. And I mean, the political stats will back that statement up. So because it's strongly conservative, there are going to be a large majority of people that are still living like we're in uh, pre- those times from back in the day. So I didn't feel comfortable. I did get some looks. I got some looks as far as what are you doing here? What do you? And I can't imagine if I didn't have the news card, how would they treat me? So that did make me feel uncomfortable. I've never been open about that with anyone, but that's why I felt even more. Uh, I felt like I had to really do the story because it's important to really just show um, just how racist the system is, especially even rooted in media. And that's why in the video that you saw in part 4, I believe, of the missing white woman syndrome, that was that term was coined by the late great Gwen Ifill. So um, just something to really think about as far as media. So that's the other reason why I started X1 Media, to give situations like this a voice. So if other stations won't cover it, then I will, and that is what it is. So, um, and also, I encourage everyone to look at the Black and Missing Foundation. I reached out to them to do an interview. I haven't gotten back yet, but it's a great website. Just search Black and Missing Inc.com, because they have a lot of good statistics on there, a lot of great information on there, and they have 3 bullet points about why the disparity in media coverage. So the first one, runaways. A lot of minority children are initially classified as runaways and as a result do not receive the Amber Alert. Second, criminals. Missing minority adults are labeled as associated with criminal involvement, gangs, and drugs. And the third one is desensitization. It is believed that missing minorities live in impoverished condition and crime is a regular part of their lives. Right? So again, this is on Black and Missing Foundation. So, and the last thing I wanted to mention about this as far as media coverage, and then I'm going to get my thoughts on the case and what I know so far. They have a section on there, and if you go into statistics on their webpage, this is where you can find all of this. They have a section on there that says, what can we do to level the playing field? So they have four options, and there's two in particular that stuck out to me. So I'll read all of them. So one is less is more, balance the scales and show less of one group and more of everyone. The second one is be vigilant. We all, law enforcement, the media, and our communities should be vigilant in finding our missing. The third one, more diversity in the newsrooms. According to the 2018 diversity survey conducted by the American Society of News, editors' newsrooms tend to be white and male. A diverse staff means a wide range of stories can be told. And the last one, see value in Black and Brown lives. This is an American issue and it affects us all. So being in this position, I felt as though it was my responsibility in Oregon as a Black reporter, and it wasn't many of us out in Oregon at that time as far as reporting and anchoring. There was a few, but not enough. But I feel like because I was Black in that newsroom and saw this as a story, that's why I felt I need to step up and tell this story because his story matters much more as any other missing person story out there that we would cover. So would that have made a difference if that other newsroom had more people that look like me? Absolutely. I truly believe that. And and this is for news directors, you need Black and Brown people in your newsrooms, on TV, giving reports. And I really felt like that was more clear, especially after 2020 during the protests based off of the deaths of George Floyd, the murders of George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. That was very important because you need our voices to tell the stories. There's just no other way to put it. You know, that's what gives stories recognition. That's what gives stories shine. It makes it makes everyone wins when it comes to telling stories like that. And your interview subjects are more comfortable speaking with someone of color. So that's what Black and Missing Foundation. I'm glad that they put that up there. So again, check out that website, blackandmissinginc.com. And I am still working on getting them or someone within that field to speak on that, that has more expertise. So transitioning to this case, this case, the more that I look into it, even editing, there was a lot to edit, a lot of stuff I had to check to make sure I could say. And so even recording this right now, there might be times you may hear me pause or stutter, stuff like that, because I want to be careful of what I'm saying because I don't want a lawsuit. I don't got no money for no lawsuit. Or, I don't know who to call, or I might call the billboards that handle injury because I don't know. So that's just me. So, but I do want to be careful and I do want to be fair to both sides because there is a lot to the story. So again, a lot of editing, a lot of stuff I couldn't use. But just going off of what I know and what you know, and maybe some things behind the scenes, my biggest takeaway um, I actually have a few takeaways. One of my takeaways is police Sergeant Devin Pretty saying that the girlfriend is, and again, she's a person of interest, not a suspect, never has been identified as a suspect, or her name has never been mentioned. That name has never been mentioned publicly by police or any type of court documents. But Sergeant Pretty said she is not caring and he does believe that she knows something. Again, that was very significant for him to say on the record, because that's key, as you're through your investigation and looking into this entire situation. So there was that. The Without relaying what he said to Davonte's family, because I interviewed Sergeant Pretty first, and then I talked to his family. Not without relaying that, they said the same thing. And that was included in one of the episodes where the girlfriend never seemed as caring and emotional that Davante is missing, and considering that they were together, right? And so I could even see that. And looking over some of the videos, it was very strange looking at her social media accounts and the stuff that she posted. And by the way, this is all public, and that's the other strange part about it. All of everything that she's posted is public, so anyone out there can just search, if you do a deep dive and find it. So I didn't pay anybody, none of this was private, all public information that's been out there. So that was one of the things. So just looking all of that over, it never came off that she was caring or concerned that he was missing. So I thought that was odd. Like, there was no tears, nothing like that. The other part was that she had a list that said, in reviewing her social media posts, again, public, she had a list that said the kidnapping of Devontae Von Morgan. That's for his full name. That's how it showed on the list. And it had a list of names. And of course that was blurred out. You saw that in the story. And she's breaking down the plot and what happened and how he could be missing. But what we know publicly from police and in the flyers is said they had an argument the night before, he left and didn't return. And it does back part of that does back that up based off the surveillance video that we saw, that he's clearly walking past the station. So that part is accurate. But the part that strikes to me after that, because yes, it's a small town, but everybody knows everybody. It's not like he's missing in LA or New York, so it's strange. So that was the other reason why I was wondering, why is he still missing? Like, no one has seen him, so what's going on here? This is it's odd. And then when you see stuff like that, the kidnapping, also Sergeant Pretty saying, I do believe that I do believe that there may be a few others that know what happened. He said that on the record. So when you have that in the kidnapping, there's just a lot going on. And again, I saw that video right after my interview with Sergeant Pretty. So I did reach out to him again, and he didn't respond. So maybe he saw it, maybe he didn't. I'm not sure. But the part that stuck out to me the most, that I really, really think that should really be talked about, and it's the phone call. The girlfriend posted on her social media account a taped conversation with someone who she mentioned her name, but I couldn't say. I had to bleep out the name. Detailing it from what it seemed like when I was watching it. And by the way, the person that sent me this video, was she reached out to me. She saw the previous episode. She said, "Here's what I found. I saw your story. Here's what I found that I think could help you with your story." That I've been following. I've been following his case closely. So, I clicked on the video, and I had saw the video at first, but it's like 8 minutes long. So I didn't really break it down. Didn't really watch it fully. But the fact that she sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, there might be something to it. So I sit back and listen, and just hearing the details, and it seemed like the girlfriend wanted that person on the phone to admit what they did. And it seemed like the girlfriend, just looking from the outside looking, it seemed like the girlfriend didn't want to admit any part, and maybe use this as a way to clear her name in some way, shape, or fashion, if that makes any sense. But to recap that moment, in case you haven't seen it, or you need a refresher, here's that tape phone call.
Are you trying to help me with? You know what I can't figure out was how
on the situation.
how
You put yourself in with Ponte.
How did you? When did you first sell your soul to the devil?
When I met you.
No, your soul was sold to the devil way before you met me. So when was the first time? You probably sold your soul.
No, when I met you.
Oh, what was the
when
first
I met
time with
you,
that?
And we tried to. when I met you and we went and hid Davohnte's phone and stuff, yeah, that's when I sold myself to the devil. When I was trying to help you out to cover up some.
And what day was that?
What night was that?
I don't know. What night was that?
We had to cover up a whole bunch of man.
What covering up?
And we was driving for a few hours.
Yeah, I have my Google timeline, and so does the Department of Justice.
So looking at that video, the person on the phone said, on a situation you put yourself in with Davohnte. Then the person said, when I met you, the girlfriend's name, and we went and hid Davohnte's phone and stuff, that's when I sold myself to the devil, when I was trying to help you cover up some ish. And we had to cover up a whole bunch of ish. And we was driving for a few hours. So you group that with the girlfriend's video of posting the kidnapping of Davohnte. And then you have Sergeant Pretty saying, I do believe she knows something. It's very hard for me to understand why there were no charges filed. Like I've never seen a more clear admission of of guilt. I would think, I'm not sure. I would need a legal expert or someone else from someone of a police officer from the outside, not connected to this case, to kind of give their insight, because I really would like to know. Because I can't think of any other reason why no charges have been filed, no one been arrested, there's no suspects, no one else is named. So it's a difficult situation, and that was the difficulties I had putting this together. And I went back and forth on whether I should include it. But then that also goes back to the point of just being transparent and being vigilant, like in the Black and Missing Foundation, what they said. So I said, let's include it and let's talk about it. Because again, public information, anyone else could find this if they do a deep dive. So this is out there. This information is out there. And I'm not sure if Mount Shasta police have seen it. It is one of her most watched videos on that channel. So there's a good chance that they did see it. I know Sergeant Pretty said they went down there a couple of years ago she lives in the Bay Area, I believe. He said they went down there to interview her, but wasn't able to get anything from her about it. So I'm not sure. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But it's a sad situation all across the board. And this is why it needs to be covered more, because we don't see coverage like this. And I hate to use these examples, but because look at a good Gabby Petito case, and rest in peace to Gabby Petito, and sending positive energy to her family. But the coverage that case got was crazy everywhere. It was through TikTok, it was on every news outlet. And not saying it wasn't covered, because that was a bizarre story, and there was a lot going on there. And I was following closely. I was wondering what was going on. And I also think because it was covered closely. But then you have a story like this, where you're talking about a Black man missing in a predominantly white area in a place that he's never been before. There's and the police being on the record saying, I do believe that she knows something. So why doesn't this get the coverage as the Gabby Petito case? And what makes this even more eye-opening, the Sherry Papini case. She just got convicted for fabricating her kidnapping. You can't make this up. I just learned about the case this year when she got arrested. And then I looked at a documentary about it, because I didn't know about the case that much. But seeing how she fabricated everything, how there was a full-on search. And this was in Redding, California, not too far from Mount Shasta, still a little bit of a drive down, but still fairly close to Northern California. So I look at all of these examples, and one of the most recent ones up in where I'm at in upstate New York, a a little girl was abducted. Thankfully, she's found okay. I can't remember the name right now, and it was a full on Amber Alert, and a lot of coverage on it. Again, I hate to use examples like this, but I'm trying to make a point here. Um, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, she had a whole press conference about it. And I've never seen a governor or anyone doing a whole press conference about why we should find it. Usually you see the police or any type of search efforts seem saying we need to find this girl. We need to go all out. And again, a lot of coverage on that case. Not saying it shouldn't have been covered. I just would like to see that same coverage applied to my missing brothers and sisters. And there's a lot of us missing, especially if you look on the Black and Missing Foundation, which is why I hope to have them on the show to give me that voice. Um, so really, that message, I want that message to be relayed to news outlets. I need it to be relayed to police, government officials, and also the audience. I want you all to really realize the disparity here and why there's difference in coverage. I do feel like it has been getting better since some journalists have been raising alarm to that, but that's why again I wanted to create this X1 Media platform to give all of that the coverage it deserves because it's Terry's and it's so sad because Terry and her family shouldn't feel like they're not getting anything communicated. I shouldn't be the one that, according to them, I shouldn't be the one that has to communicate what Mount Shasta police said to them. I shouldn't be the one that finds social media videos. Like Terry didn't know about those different angles of the surveillance camera. She told me she didn't know anything about that, nor did she know about that kidnapping list. So I'm having to be the one to explain to her what all of this is to help something. So it shouldn't be like that. She should be on a loop. The family should be in on a loop, and and yeah, I want people to put themselves in their shoes. How would you feel? And God forbid this doesn't happen. I don't wish this on anyone. But how would you feel if you're missing love? If you had a loved one that was missing and you weren't hearing anything back, you weren't getting any type of communication. You're getting death threats. Terry's family said that they were getting threats made. They had stuff thrown at them. They didn't feel comfortable and all of that. That shouldn't be the case. Like what happened to the human side of all of this? This is still someone missing. This is someone's family member. This is someone's brother, someone's cousin, someone's son. So I really want that to be the takeaway in all of this. Really apply pressure to local officials, to put to get some more information out and to your community. So I want people to look at the Black and Missing Foundation. Again, that website is blackandmissinginc.com. And you can there's a tip line on there, there's researchers, and you can search for a missing person. You never know. Someone that could be missing could be right in your neighborhood. And you may not have known about it. But in the meantime, I want that if I'm always open to tell a story. So I'm gonna do my own research on some of these cases. And if I can shed more light the same way I shed light on Davohnte's name, then I'm gonna do that. And that's what I want my website to be. That's what I want X1 Media to be. Because I think everyone deserves fair media coverage. And I really pray that there's some type of I really pray that the purpose of me making this story was to bring attention to it and to get something done because it's been 3 years, this time. And what's even more unfortunate is that his family, heard Terry say it, they had to hire a private investigator. No family should have to hire a private investigator because they don't trust a police not doing their job in their eyes, right? So there's I'm sure, as you can see, this is a lot, and this certainly open for a lot of other discussions. I know we're coming up on our time here, but this isn't a story that's going to go away. This is something that I plan on talking about more, expanding more, opening this up for discussion. I have a few journalists that I'm waiting on getting working out scheduling to get them on an interview and have their side of the story and what they view. So I'll keep you all updated on that and when all of that happens. So, in the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning into On the Go with AC. Again, I'm Anthony Carter. Again, happy holidays. Again, be sure to follow me, acarter_TV. Also, email me, acarter@thex1media.com. Visit our website, www.thex1media.com. Again, that's THE, the letter X, ONE media.com. Again, the show plans to, we're going to cover a lot of different topics, but overall, I want you all to leave with something, and to have something to take with you on the go. So my closing remarks will be, as we enter 2024, really focus on, and this is separate from defining, my closing remarks would be focus on yourself and what you want to accomplish. Write down your goals. Write down what you want to accomplish for 2024. I think a lot of times we speak out what we want to do or we have in our head, but we really need to write it down so we can look at it kind of like a checklist. We look at it like, okay, I need to still work on this. Okay, maybe I can adjust this to that. And also, don't let anyone steer you away from those plans. Trust in yourself, trust in your heart, and trust in your spirit. For that goes for religious and non-religious people. Really focus on that. I'll have more to say on that as I'm really starting to learn that within the last 6 months on trusting myself, my heart, and my spirit. I feel like that's something that we all struggle with. I'm starting to learn how to do that. So that plans to be on another episode at another time, because I want to expand more on that. So thank you all again for watching. Good luck to everyone out there. Stay safe. Again, stay healthy as well. Love on yourself, love on one another. Pray for your family, pray for this world. So much going on in this world, so much hate, so much violence going on in this world. And I really pray that we have a healthy 2024 and really loving 2024. And I wish that on all of you. And I appreciate you all again for tuning in. I'm Anthony Carter. Stay safe and have a good one.